Hello everyone and welcome to a very nice game from last year's FIDE World Rapid Championship. It is Magnus Carlsen versus Alireza Firuzja, and it is quite a game to get us started and into the mood for the new World Rapid Championship and the World Blitz Championship. But the question remains, as Magnus, after losing his game to Hans in the classical time format, he has declined to play Hans in any time format whenever he was faced against him, albeit online. But the question is, what happens if Magnus is, let's say, he's doing really well. He's leading the rapid section. He's in first place currently, and then he has to play against Hans. Will he again just decline to play? Will he give up a full point, or will he actually play this time? There's no way we can know. He did fly all the way to Kazakhstan to play for the World Rapid and Blitz Championship, so he definitely wants to win it. But I mean, will he play against him? That we will have to see. So I thought, to get us in the mood, a very nice game between Magnus and Alireza from last year's World Rapid Championship that was won by Nodirbek Abdusatorov. Let's check it out. And yes, today, in a few hours, we will be having this year's Christmas Arena. It's sponsored by Elrond, the Multiverse X, as it's being called now. So do check it out. It will be the first link in the description below. Many strong players have already enrolled, over 2,000 players, and you guys are welcome to join in and try to take away a few points from them, or all the points. All depends on how good you are. That being said, let's check it out, and later on we're going to live stream the event. It starts at 6 p.m. Central European time, so hope you guys can make it. So Magnus, with the white pieces here, opens with e4. Alireza goes for the Carlsen. He plays c6. We have d4, d5, and now Magnus advances the pawn. The advanced variation of the Carlsen. We have bishop to f5, and now pawn to c4. Not going for anything crazy. Pawn to e6. We have knight to c3, and here Alireza goes for knight to e7. We have h3, and now knight to d7. Already an incredibly rare setup, only a handful of games. Knight to f3, and now bishop to g6, and already as of move 7 we have a completely new game. So Magnus continues with b3. He wants to fianchetto his dark square bishop. We have knight to f5, and now bishop to e2. This knight is now a monster, and if Magnus wants to kick it away, he will have to at some point advance the pawn to g4 or try something else, but more likely is that Alireza will bring his knight to h4 to try and trade it off for Magnus's knight on f3. So bishop to b4, and now bishop to b2. We have castles, and both players castle. So castles. f6 now. Alireza wants to break up Magnus's strong center, and pawn to a3. Chases away the bishop. Bishop to a5, and now c captures, and e captures on f6. Now you could capture with the knight, but Alireza has different plans for this knight. At some point the knight will come to f8 to help out with the defense of the backwards e6 pawn. So queen captures on f6 instead. Rook to c1 by Magnus, and now knight to h4, going for a trade of knights so he can remove some of the defenders away from the white king. Knight captures, queen captures, and now pawn to b4. And Alireza doesn't bring the bishop to b6, rather he brings it all the way to d8 for some reason, but I have no idea what that reason is. Maybe he wanted to bring it to e7 and then to d6, maybe that's the idea. But okay, Magnus goes bishop to g4, puts pressure on the e6 pawn, and now bishop to f5. Now if Magnus wants to trade, Alireza moves the rook from f8, and then the knight can finally come to f8. We have bishop captures, rook captures, and queen to e2. Now Magnus goes after the e6 pawn, knight to f8, defending the e6 pawn, and now knight to d1, remaneuvering the knight to e3 to harass the rook on f5, and here bishop to b6. Now Alireza brings the bishop to b6. You could also consider some rook g5, moves h5 to start an attack, but he first wants to improve the position of his bishop, and now knight to e3. Attacks the rook, rook to g5, and now pawn to f4. Chasing away the rook, and here Alireza should play rook to g6, but he plays rook to g3, and this really allows Magnus to kickstart his part of the game. So feel free to pause the video and try to figure out what is wrong with rook to g3 while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on always thinking about using every piece. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is king to h2. That's the move Magnus played. And now it's not easy for Alireza to find the move, because queen e1 and queen f2 will trap the rook. The rook will not be able to move, as the queen on h4 will be undefended. So Alireza brings it to g6 now, which sort of loses him the tempo, and now Magnus should continue busting open the position with f5, but he goes for a different plan. Knight g4, he wants to bring the knight to e5, where it will be a monster knight. Queen back to d8, and now pawn to a4, just grabbing more space on the queen side. We have bishop to c7, now going for the king on h2, and b5. We have bishop to d6. Alireza doesn't want the bishop on c7 to remain a target, and now rook to c3, helping out with the defense of the third rank, but also just preparing to double up on the c file. So Alireza counters that. He plays rook to c8, rook captures, queen captures, and now knight to e5. And this is now truly a monster knight, attacking the rook, rook to f6, and now rook to c1, attacking Alireza's queen, queen to d8, and now pawn to g3. And here, this knight is obviously much stronger than this bishop, but Alireza prefers to keep the tension. He doesn't want to eliminate the knight. He continues rook to f5. We have queen to d3 now, and pawn to g5. Also capturing and then pawn to g5 is an option, but he goes for g5 right away. But now Magnus goes for knight to g4. And here you can see how maybe capturing the knight was the way to go. Now Alireza has to worry about knight h6 check, which will win the rook. So king to g7, and now knight to e3. Again forces the rook back, rook to f7, and now pawn to f5. Threatening to completely destroy black's position. Queen to d7, adding another defender here, and now rook to f1, putting more pressure on the f-file, h6, and now king to g2, getting the king away from this diagonal. King to g8, and now again Magnus goes for it. Knight to g4. This king to g8 move really wasn't the way to go, but it's rapid. So knight to g4 again threatens a nice fork here. So king back to g7. Alireza forced to bring the king back, and now f6 with check. King h8, knight captures on h6. So Magnus wins a very valuable pawn. Rook to h7, and now knight back to g4. We have queen to e8, hoping to get some maybe queen h5, queen h3 action in, but just bishop to a3, attacking the bishop on d6. And interestingly, even if you go for this, you could still just capture the bishop. You don't really care about this, even if you lose the knight here. If king g1, queen captures on g4, f7, and there's no defense against the bishop e5. This will be mate in 1, and if you want to avoid being mated in 1, you will have to suffer severe material loss. So after bishop to a3, Alireza has to capture. We have queen captures on a3, and now queen to c8, hoping to get some activity with the queen, but just rook to c1. Of course, Magnus will not allow this. Queen to e8, and now knight to e5. And now you can see that the knight controls very important squares here. f7 will be an option. The queen cannot move because the knight here would hang. So very tough position for Alireza. King to g8 is played, but now queen to f3, preparing pawn to f7. So queen to d8, and now we have rook to f1, bringing even more firepower to the f-file. King to h8, and now queen to e3, just going after the g5 pawn. Queen to c8, hoping to get some counterplay here, but Magnus doesn't rush anything, just rook to f2. We have pawn to g4. Alireza has to try something active. h4, and now rook to h5. And here comes knight to f7 check, king to g8, and knight to g5. And he was in this position on move 53 that Alireza Firouzja resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. To give you an example of maybe what you could play, but there really nothing here, like f7 and queen e5, just get the job done, whatever you play. Even if you try something like preemptive king e8, again, queen e5 threatens f7 mate, and well, if knight g6, of course, then just knight f7 check will pick up the rook, and you, okay, it's not even an exchange, because this also wins the knight, so maybe king e8. Now even f7 check, king f8, you're gonna play queen to g8 check, king e7, and you can capture black's queen. So nothing really works here, and of course Alireza had to resign. But you can see that both of them had chances. He was could have gone either way, but in the end Magnus came on top. Alireza played a couple of weird moves with the king, and that was enough for Magnus to gain that one tempo that he needed to really start his attack. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Like I said, if you want to join the tournament and have a chance of facing some very strong players, it will be the first link in the description below. You have to have at least 50 rated games played in order to participate. Sort of a way to eliminate people using bots and new accounts that are made specifically for cheating. It's not impossible. I mean, you can play just 50 rated games, but maybe it will discourage most of them. So yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Really hope you guys can make it to the live stream and to the tournament. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the grandmaster today, maybe not. But if you don't play, chances are you you will not be the grandmaster today. So yeah, once again, hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Daniel Stone, David Groskind, Theodoros Katsimparos, Scott Mellis, and Jack Schroeder for contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.